Welcome, everyone, and today we are diving into one of the most haunting and fascinating mysteries in maritime history, the story of the ghost ship Mary Celeste, a perfectly seaworthy vessel found drifting in the Atlantic, cargo intact, food and supplies untouched, but not a single person on board, no distress signal, no clear signs of struggle, just silence. This real-life mystery has confused investigators, historians, and storytellers for more than 150 years, and even today, no single explanation has been proven true. Let's begin at the start. The Mary Celeste was a merchant brigantine ship built in 1861. It wasn't originally famous, just another working vessel used for transporting cargo across oceans. Over the years, it changed owners several times and had a mixed service record, including a few accidents and repairs. Still, by 1872, it was considered seaworthy and ready for another voyage. In November 1872, the Mary Celeste departed from New York Harbor, heading toward Genoa, Italy. On board was Captain Benjamin Briggs, an experienced and respected sailor. He was joined by his wife, his young daughter, and a crew of 7 skilled seamen. The cargo hold contained over 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol, highly flammable but properly stored. Everything about the departure seemed normal. Weather conditions were reasonable. The ship was well supplied. The captain was known to be cautious and disciplined. Nothing suggested that this voyage would become one of history's greatest mysteries. Now here's where things get strange. About a month later, in early December 1872, another ship named the Dei Gracious spotted a vessel drifting in the Atlantic Ocean between the Azores and the coast of Portugal. The ship was moving oddly, its sails partly set, but not under proper control. Something clearly wasn't right. Crew members from the Dei Gracia boarded the drifting vessel and discovered it was the Mary Celeste. What they found was deeply puzzling. The ship was empty. No captain, no crew, no passengers, yet the vessel was still afloat and largely in good condition. There was food and water on board enough for months. Personal belongings were still in place. The crew's pipes, clothing, and valuables had not been taken. The cargo was mostly intact. There were no clear signs of a violent event. It looked as if everyone had simply left calmly and quickly and never returned. The only major items missing were the ship's lifeboat and some navigation instruments, including the sextant and marine chronometer. That suggests the crew may have intentionally abandoned the ship, but why would an experienced captain leave a seaworthy vessel in open ocean? The last entry in the ship's logbook was dated about 10 days earlier. It recorded a normal position and no emergency. After that, nothing. Investigators began examining every detail. There was a small amount of water in the bilge, the lowest part of the ship, but not enough to sink it. Some sails were damaged. A pump was partially taken apart. A hatch was open, but none of this clearly explained why the entire crew would leave. Naturally, theories began to spread. One early theory was piracy, but this didn't fit the evidence. Pirates usually steal valuables and cargo, and signs of struggle are typically visible. On the Mary Celeste, valuables were still there, and nothing looked violently disturbed. Another theory suggested a mutiny, that the crew rebelled against the captain, but again there were no strong signs of conflict, and Captain Briggs was known as fair and professional. Nothing in the ship's condition clearly supported a takeover. Some people proposed that fumes from the alcohol cargo may have frightened the crew. Industrial alcohol can release strong vapors. If barrels leaked slightly, gas could build up in the hold. The crew might have feared an explosion and temporarily evacuated to the lifeboat, planning to return once things cleared. This theory gained support years later when experiments showed that alcohol vapor explosions can create a loud blast without leaving burn marks. A sudden whoosh sound or pressure wave could have convinced the captain that the ship was about to explode, prompting an emergency evacuation. But even if they left temporarily, how did they become permanently separated from the ship? One idea is that they tied the lifeboat to the vessel with a rope, a common emergency practice, but rough weather may have snapped the line, leaving them drifting away while the Mary Celeste sailed on without them. Weather is another factor often discussed. Some records suggest there may have been rough seas and unstable conditions during that period. A combination of waves, leaking fumes, and navigation uncertainty might have led the captain to make a cautious but tragic decision to abandon ship. Over time, more dramatic theories appeared: sea monsters, giant squids, waterspouts, paranormal forces, even alien abduction stories showed up in later retellings. These ideas are popular in fiction and documentaries, but there's no scientific evidence supporting them. One important detail often misunderstood is that the ship was not in perfect condition, but it was not sinking either. It needed repairs and had taken on some water, but it was still capable of sailing. That is what makes the mystery so powerful. The danger may have seemed urgent to those on board, even if later inspection showed it wasn't fatal. The salvage crew from the Dei Gratia sailed the Mary Celeste to port. A legal investigation followed because maritime law awarded money to crews who recovered abandoned ships. Authorities carefully examined whether the rescuers were involved in wrongdoing, but no proof was found against them. In the end, the official investigation could not determine exactly what happened. No confirmed explanation. No survivors, no final message, just questions. The Mary Celeste continued sailing under new owners after the incident, but its reputation never recovered. Years later, it was deliberately wrecked in an insurance fraud attempt, ending its physical journey, but the legend only grew stronger. Today, the story of the Mary Celeste remains one of the most discussed ghost ship cases in the world. It appears in books, documentaries, and classrooms as a classic unsolved mystery, a reminder that even in an age of navigation and records, the sea can still keep secrets. And maybe that is why this story continues to grip people, because it's right at the edge between logic and legend. A real ship, real people, a real disappearance. But no final answer. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy deep mystery stories like this, stay tuned for more historical investigations and unsolved cases from around the world.